Hi everybody, Doidle here, welcome back to the RoundSquare channel, and today we're playing The Sims 4. So I was going to be doing a Tomb Raider video originally today, but unfortunately Steam just isn't working for some reason, so I thought what better opportunity to try something that I've been wanting to do for ages. Okay, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I have been playing like a long-term family in The Sims, but before this I had my main game, which was just me and a power fantasy of living out my ideal life in a virtual world. But I haven't played this for a long time. Yeah, okay, so apparently I haven't played this save since the 15th of February last year, and that's because I didn't save it correctly, and so I've lost so much progress. Okay, so like I say, I haven't played this for well over a year, this save file, and since then I think I've hopefully become a little bit more confident in building in The Sims, and so I figure it would be kind of fun to go back to my old save and see exactly the house that I made, which was my dream house, apparently. I don't recall. I think I wanted it to look like some kind of New England rustic coastal Maine feel. I'm not too sure, but we'll have a look. And, you know, I'm in the mood for some building, so we're going to try and improve the house. Okay, we're back in Daxon's Creek, apparently. Oh, that's it. Load everything. Oh my goodness me. Oh my... What is this? What happened here? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh wow. Oh my god. What is this? Oh, okay. Right. Oh. Have I at least got the second floor still? I don't. Wonderful. Oh my god. What? What is this? Wow. Okay, oh my god, what the frig have I done here? What is this? There's not even, like, a ceiling in there? Okay, so, what we're gonna do, I am going to try and take this horrific mess of a build and try and do something with it to make it look a little bit more amicable, because this is just awful. This is unforgivable. So, let's do this. Okay, so the first things first, I really wanted to get the main shape of the house. I actually based this off of a real house, which I found while doing some research into New England styles of architecture, especially for coastal houses. And it had this very distinctive shape set to the front of it, so this is what I've been trying to recreate with this. The roof was kind of difficult to do, in all honesty. I'm not even entirely sure how you would describe the roof, but yeah, it was a very distinctive shape, so I wanted to try and create that here. So I think I actually started building this house originally, I probably want to say maybe at the start of the year that I made the save game, so maybe like 2 or 3 months prior to me saving it last, let's say. But I really enjoyed it, and it's kind of a shame because I thought that I would come into this and have all of the I'd have the second floor done, and it was basically going to be more of a renovation, whereas this is in fact just going to be more of a build than anything, to be honest. So first things first, I had to, because I knew I wanted this to be a 2-story build, I had to think about how I actually wanted the floor plan to be, and this house is, it's a little bit different than what I would normally go for. As always, I'm using exactly the same sort of light blue wood, natural materials kind of look to it, which I have a bit of an obsession with. But, realistically, I wanted this to sort of be sort of like a modern take on traditional techniques, and I had the idea in my head that the house was originally a much smaller property, which had then been expanded and renovated to a modern standard, and you'll see a little bit of that later on. I've tried to leave in like a little element of what the original house was. So yeah, you can see it just there, this little nook here. This is supposed to be like the traditional area, and I originally wanted this to be kind of like an old pub, I suppose, where you'd have like lots of exposed wooden beams and stuff, and it's going to be very rustic and sort of cobblestone feel to it, if that makes any sense, but hey ho. So one thing that I really struggled with in this build was coming out with an ideal layout for the shape of the house. Ideally I wanted to have stairs which sort of had a halfway point and would then curve into an L shape, but I mean you can do that in The Sims 4, but it's really difficult. So instead I spent probably about half of my time in this build trying to redo the stairs and get it to a place where it matched up okay on the ground and the first floor. And as a result, it meant that I've really had to think about the placement of the rooms inside. And that was a real challenge, and you're going to see me, well, maybe not, I think I cut out a lot of the footage of me sort of messing around with the layouts of the rooms, because it was just very difficult for me to get it to work. And it was very weird, because with the living room, like I'm doing here, for example, I could picture it in my head as if it were a real physical place in front of me, and how I would furnish it then, but then I would set it up in game, and it just wouldn't look right at all. So yeah, I'm going to be changing the layout of this a lot. If you can't, well, you can see it already, basically. Okay, so one thing that I wanted to have was this little sort of lobby area, I suppose, to sort of give it a bit more of that modern touch. But I don't know, I'm still a little bit on the fence with it, because it really does sort of seem a bit different to what you might imagine the layout of the interior to be, but I like it in the end. But you'll see me change it in a little bit later on. I think I try and swap it out for like slatted walls instead. But yeah. Okay, and now one thing, probably my favourite part of the build was this little nook that I'm building at the moment. I wanted to create like a study area, and that was actually the most fun part to actually furnish, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that in this. In the reference image that I used for the video, there was a lot of contrasting colours between blue and white for the very like typical coastal theme. And I've tried to replicate it, but it was actually kind of difficult because there wasn't really a white paneling that matched very well to what we would have seen, or at least what you saw in the photograph used. But okay, so just sorting out the general layout of the upstairs rooms. Originally when I first built the house, because it's just my sim inside of it, it was just a one-bedroom house, and the master bedroom took up the entirety of the top floor, but that was very unrealistic, and I must admit, even then I didn't like it, so I've split the house to have two bedrooms, two large doubles, master with an ensuite, and I wanted it to, I don't know, be a bit more versatile for anybody who wanted to download it, I suppose, but mostly I kind of imagine it being used as a guest room or a study of description, which is where you'll see I put the painting easel outside later on. But yes, I didn't want this to look like it was completely made up as a house. I wanted it to have some believability, as this could be a building which actually exists somewhere. So fingers crossed that's translated okay, but I don't know, we'll see. I'll let you guys decide that. So here I am trying to make the design for the little nook, my little study area. I really, really liked this because I just wanted it to be filled with lots of inspiration and lots of natural materials. And I think you'll see I stick in a load of plants later on, just because when I'm working especially, I love to be surrounded by greenery, and especially if I'm doing anything creative, so I wanted that to kind of transfer into the look, into the feel of this house. I did build it specifically for me. Obviously this won't be to everyone's taste, which is totally cool, but I'm one of these people who's, I'm very IKEA. I just love having greenery everywhere and plants, and yeah, even if it might not be as practical as you might want it to be, as long as it looks good, that's what was important to me. I also really wanted to try and make it look as lived in as possible. You can kind of see as time goes on I get a little bit sloppy in that regard, but with things like putting accessories down, I did want to sort of give it a, not necessarily an untidy feel, but a bit of a cluttered, used feel. And obviously for me, I definitely had to have a fish tank, an aquarium, because that's always been one of my main bucket list goals, is to have a proper aquarium in my house one day. One day I'll have that aquarium and it's going to be amazing. One day. So just decorating the living room at the moment. Again, you can see I'm really beginning to struggle with the layout a little bit, because I think this was the one which I settled on in the end. There was a lot of cut footage of me just moving the same things around again. But I don't know. I just wanted to try and make everything... I wanted it to look sort of... I don't want to say luxurious, but I wanted to make it look kind of high-end, and still, you know, a bit bespoke. Yeah, fingers crossed it actually looks okay. So this is the little original part of the house. I think I replaced the floor in this later on, but this was where I wanted to keep some of the traditional elements of, like, this would be the sitting room, one of the 2 living rooms which might exist in an older house like this. So I wanted it to be focused around the fireplace, which the fireplace is probably the defining feature of this. And in the picture I saw, they had it placed in what I thought was a very strange position to have it in, but it made the house look really unique, so I really wanted to incorporate that myself. And I'm really happy with how it turned out, actually, but yeah, I just wanted to try and keep it as looking as rustic as possible, realistically. So just adding some more little accessories, some more decoration to the living room. Again, this is another room which I just fill with plants because I'm a sucker for vegetation. I just wanted it to look really natural and really harmonious, and actually, fitting in with the surroundings. And I have this idea that Brindleton Bay is very, very nature-themed. I imagine that everything has a lot of natural materials in its use, lots of woods, and yeah, just a very nice airy feel to everything. What to talk about? I'm not very good at this. So one thing which I haven't actually talked about is I called, originally the name for this lot is Daxon's Creek, which was the name for the lot, which was set up by EA rather. But in my head, I've changed the lot, for the actual build itself. This is actually called Brindleton Chine. And a chine, by definition, is a coastal ravine. But the word itself is only really used in parts of the UK that I come from. It's not really heard of outside of the extreme south. Which is why it might sound a little bit weird, but yes, it is a coastal ravine, and I liked the idea of that because where I come from, there are a variety of different chines which famously had these grand Victorian houses, which would sort of adorn the edges, the gorge, as it were. Most of them, unfortunately, fall into the sea over time because the ravine is constantly being eroded or slipping away. And the one thing that I really noticed about this slot here is that it does focus right next to this massive centerpiece of the coastal ravine, complete with waterfall. So I thought it was quite appropriate, and it was sort of like a nice little nod to my own heritage. It's cheesy, I know, but I like it at least, and I suppose that is all that matters. Right, Right, so now I wanted to try and just make the bedroom as coastal themed as possible. So again, there's just loads of light wood colours. I'm sticking with lots of whites, blues and creams. I didn't want anything to be too sort of flashy, but I wanted it to have this distinctive soft colour palette. But I must admit, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, actually. I'd be very happy to live in this room. Yeah, I think it turned out pretty well, all things considered. Considering that, I don't know, usually when I build in The Sims, I'm not very good at putting things together and coming up with like a harmonious design without either committing to 100% everything looking exactly the same and looking flat, or just being absolutely mismatched and crazy. So I was very happy that, I don't know, I think I met in the middle ground with this. Fingers crossed at least. And again, obviously, there has to be more vegetation everywhere because I love plants. This is also naturally the master bedroom for my main sim, and this has the ensuite next to it. I don't think I included the footage in this because I didn't want it to, well, honestly, it was just a little bit boring to watch, so I didn't really think it was necessary to put in. Anyway, now we're working on the second bedroom, the guest room. And I wanted this to have a similar feel to the first one, but be a little bit more generic. So for guests, you know, it's not quite as personalised as the master bedroom, but I wanted it to still have that air of comfort and I don't know. I wanted it to feel like a very welcoming, peaceful space where you had everything you needed in one area, and it wasn't literally just the quote-unquote bedroom, and that was it. So yeah, I wanted this to look like a home away from home for whoever might be staying over at my lovely house. Not that I really have anyone to stay over with, as far as I recall in this game. I think I've just got my dog. Yeah, I think that's it. My little bacon, as I called him. Little bacon. He's a cutie pie. So the centerpiece for the upstairs landing, I created this main corner which I just wanted to have flooded with natural light, and again I needed to have more plants there, so I sort of tried to create this little vignette of, you know, variety of different styles. So now we're just gonna do the exteriors. I wanted to try and keep this relatively simple because where the lot is not connected to a road or anything, it wouldn't make sense for it to be perfectly paved and the paving to go right up to the edge of the lot because it's just grass all the way around it. So I wanted to give it a sort of feel where it's not connected to anything else, but it's kind of like ground in, if that makes sense. It's been worn in over time, so it does have this paving on there, but you know, it's the grass is taking over because that's just what's around it. And on the whole, I just wanted to keep it very simple because I think for anybody who would live at this property, the quote-unquote garden would be the area around the actual property. Anyway, we're closing up now, so just as a final shout out, I want to give a personal thank you to Freezer Bunny, who actually pointed me in the right direction for how I go about creating the videos at the end of the build, where you can actually see the house. So I really appreciate that. He's a super nice guy, and his builds are beyond inspiring. Anyway, I'm rambling, so let's just get on with the video. And thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Bye!